Hey everyone, welcome back to the most interactive wrestling show on the interweb. Welcome back to Wrestling with Omer. I am your host, Omer Q, and I have a show planned for you. We're going to talk about AEW World Champion Jon Moxley being not so good. Not so good, people. It's kind of cooked out there right now. Kind of cooked in AEW land with that Death Rider storyline, as we all know. Probably, if not the worst story in pro wrestling right now, one of. Absolute dog poop going on over there. But we'll talk about that. We're also going to get into other wonderful things happening in the world of professional wrestling, including Friday Night SmackDown, which was live earlier today, I believe at about 3 p.m. over on Netflix. For those of you who are watching internationally, if you're watching... or if you're in the States, then obviously it's on right now while I'm streaming. But for the smart people over there who already have a VPN, you know that you probably could have watched it earlier on Netflix. But that's going to be the case with Raw everywhere because you're going to be able to watch Raw live anywhere if you're even in the United States. We got so much to get into today. Oh, God. By the way, there's some horrendous... yeah, we got to fix this whole chat situation going on now. There we go. I'll make chat a little bit. We'll fix chat. Don't worry. We'll fix chat. No, don't think I'm going to be able to highlight chats today. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the chat highlight is not working. So we're going to have to make do with what we got. But I do have a lot planned for y'all. I mentioned the Moxley thing. We got Abdu in the chat saying... I think they have an end goal for this, the Death Riders thing, but they didn't. But they don't know how to fill the time between point A and point B. Yeah, I mean that's evident, right? Like that much we do know is a fact. Like they do not know how to fill like time from point A to point B. But I mean, we can get right into it if we want to, guys. The Death Rider storyline in AEW is absolutely god awful. It is one of the least entertaining and, quite frankly, like demoralizing main event angles that any wrestling company has had in a very long time. Now, granted, back in like 2019, WWE could have made a monumental case for things like Goldberg winning the World Championship, or I believe the Universal Championship, at Crown Jewel or whatever Saudi Blood Money show that was. You could have made a case for one of the WWE Championship wins of Randy Orton, which obviously went nowhere. Like, there's a bunch of stuff you could have said. But the reality is that right now, I think it's clear. Jon Moxley, in what is, I believe, his third official AEW World Championship reign, fourth official AEW World Championship reign, I believe. This is his worst world title reign ever. And this is also the worst AEW world title reign ever. And I know there are going to be some people who say, oh man, like what about CM Punk's world title reign? Both of them, which both ended very flat, of course. What about MJF's world title reign? What about Samoa Joe's world title reign? It can't be worse than Samoa Joe's. And to you guys, I say, yes, it can, because we've been watching it for the past 6 months. Jon Moxley has not been cooking with his Death Riders angle. There was a point where we all thought it may have been leading to something bigger. There was a point where we all thought that there was more than meets the eye with this angle, where we all thought that there was the potential for this to grow, that there was the potential for this to become something that was just bigger than AEW versus the Death Riders, this insurgent group. Potentially there was Shane McMahon. Potentially there was even the idea that they were working for Tony Khan the entire time. There's so much you could have done, so much you could have said, so much you could have had happen that unfortunately did not materialize. And the saddest thing, honestly, quite frankly, about this whole Jon Moxley Death Rider angle, like the absolute saddest thing for me has been seeing, a guy in Jon Moxley who again, I once thought of as the pinnacle, the peak of AEW. I mean, the peak of wrestling, really. Like, he really, at one point, was the guy in 2020, 2019, when he first went onto the scene. But now he's just go away heat. And that's not what you're supposed to be doing with a guy like Jon Moxley. That is one of the cornerstones of your company. And you are doing so much well. Like, you have, at that pay-per-view, at Revolution last week, you had Toni Storm versus Mariah May, which should have main evented. That was an absolute 5-star classic. You had Konosuke Takeshita versus Kenny Omega, which many people are arguing was a 5-star classic. You had Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay in one of the greatest steel cage matches I've ever seen in any company. And you followed that up. Those 3 banger matches. You follow that up with probably one of the worst main events that AEW has ever put on. If not the worst. Shout out Jay White versus MJF, Full Gear 2023. And I don't think that, like, this is like a thing where, oh, well, all they need is to make this into a bigger thing than it is, or all they need is, 1 or 2 more pieces and they're good now. No, I genuinely believe that right now there isn't a way forward. And if the plan here is to wait it out until All In, if the plan here is to wait it out until July and just kind of see where you're at, that's the wrong plan. You have an out. April 4th, 5th, 6th, one of those dates. You have an out that weekend in Philadelphia, AEW Dynasty, Swerve Strickland versus presumably Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. You not only have the opportunity with that match, what's up, Wall Street Money? You not only have the opportunity with that match to cook what could be an amazing story, the story of the rematch of Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay, one of the best matches of the entire year last year. You can run that back, telling the story of Will Ospreay fighting back, and that 2024 may have been Swerve Strickland's year, but 2025 is the year of the aerial assassin. And then, on top of that, right now, AEW is sitting at about 12,000 tickets sold for All In, Texas. It's supposed to be their biggest show of the year. Right now, it is not going to be, quite frankly. It is not on pace to be. But there's still the chance that you can make the most of it. You can get 20,000 people in that stadium. You can get a good crowd. You can get some hype. You can get some energy. You can get some views. You can get some momentum behind that show if you take the belt off of Moxley and book an all-star versus an all-star, Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay. The future is now they are the present. Book them against each other for the biggest, richest prize in the business, which, by the way, has not been seen on AEW TV since October. Like, what the fuck are we doing, folks? What are we doing here? I'm supposed to believe that the AEW World Championship is the richest prize in the world. That everyone is gunning for this belt. That the respect that this belt has is bigger than any belt in professional wrestling. I'm supposed to believe that. And yet the guy who says he's defending AEW, the guy who says he's defending the AEW World Championship, everything it represents, blah, 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 refuses to give it the respect that it deserves, refuses to go out there and show off arguably the richest prize in the business. To me, that's not telling me that Moxley is trying to protect the AEW World Championship. That tells me that Moxley is trying to diminish the World Championship. And I'm not talking about Jon Moxley, the person. I'm talking about the character. This is more of an indictment on the AEW booking than anything else. I don't think that there's a way back with Moxley right now. At this moment, there just isn't. You got to get rid of the belt. You have to. have to put it on Swerve Strickland, build up that big match, and give Ospreay potentially a massive moment, either at All In Texas, or if he falls short there, follow it up the next month in England, in London, at Forbidden Door 2025, which shaping up to be a pretty big show because you got that. You potentially got that. You potentially also have the rematch of Gabe Kidd and Kenny Omega, which is set to be a banger. But, of course, I want to hear from you guys in the chat. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. We got a bunch of chats here. I'm going to read them as they come in. We got Lupita Rivera asking, where is Trevor? Trevor is on the Tuesday show. So OT Graps live every Tuesday. Go check out youtube.com/OT Graps for more. Wall Street Mind says, I just want to shout out Omer for letting me borrow his Porsche. Yes, I don't even drive, bro. I don't even drive, bro. Like, what do you mean? It'd be one thing if I had a Porsche, bro. I don't even fucking drive. Michelle in the chat says, do you believe that Will Ospreay and MJF can have Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes' level of notoriety in AEW? Depends what you mean by notoriety. Can they, I mean, are they going to be as well known in AEW? Probably not. That's just the virtue of where WWE is and where AEW is. Now, if you're asking me if they are going to be, better, from a viewer standpoint or something like that, that's a different conversation. I'd argue that right now, both of them are more interesting if it's a character than Roman Reigns. We got Reality Era saying, hot take. Fletcher versus Ospreay was underwhelming. You should have lost, and Fletcher/Ospreay gained very little from this feud. That's a scorching hot take. That's a very scorching hot take. But I'm here for it, Reality Era. I'm here. I think that's germane. I'm here for it, man. We got Reality Era also saying, Darby is the only man who should beat Mox. I don't want Swerve to win just to have another short title reign. Amen. Shout out to you, bro. But that's what's not happening. We got to take that belt off of that man. We gotta to quote Kenny Baum, cancel Christmas on that man. That's what we not doing. That's what we really not doing. We not putting that world title. We're not keeping that world title on Mox. Ryan Davis says, is Mox a failure though? There's never been a Cody babyface there's never been a Cody babyface? Is that what you're trying to say? Without the persistent dominant heel of Roman Reigns, they're building to a hero. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think Mox is seen as that big of a threat right now. I think he's just seen as a joke. And the AEW World Title scene is seen as a joke. Here's the thing. It'd be one thing if they had motion. It doesn't have motion. Most people are, whether you individually like it or not, is a wholly separate issue. You totally can, and that's your right. I just think most fans and most of the core AEW audience that watches, that pays money and all that kind of stuff, they're not vibing with this title reign. They're not vibing with the direction of the AEW World Championship picture. It just is. It's one thing to you can have a heel on top and build a big heel title reign. The way they've done it has just been messy. It's been clunky, and it's just been nonsensical for the most part. May versus Storm should have main evented. Absolutely. Mariah May versus Toni Storm 100% should have main evented. The fact that it didn't is, I think, further indictment on the way that AEW kind of views women's wrestling in general. Ali Sanan saying, enjoy watching this channel. Shout out to Ali. Shout out to my boy, my brother from another. Anyway, shout out to Ali. Wall Street Money says, what would you rank Revolution out of 10? It is one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen. Genuinely one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen. WWE, AEW, wherever. You had 3 of the best matches of ever. I think probably, in my opinion, I would say that is one of, if not the best women's match I've ever watched. Also, one of the best steel cage matches ever. I won't actually put Konosuke Takeshita versus Kenny Omega in the all-time level great, but it's up there. It's in the running for top 10 matches of the year. I really, really, really do believe that that match should have main evented. Mariah May versus Toni Storm 100% should have main evented. It's pretty sad state of affairs that didn't. Hook versus Mox was a banger. Mox's reign is bad, but Darby would have been the biggest payoff 2 months won't change the feeling. I just don't see it that way right now. Could it change? Absolutely, but right now I think priority number one for the AEW World Championship picture, especially because here's the thing, right? Your goal, if you're AEW, is to get butts in seats for your big shows and to make sure people watch the show, right? Those are your two big goals. They are not achieving that right now with Jon Moxley as the main act. They're just not doing it. It's just not happening. It categorically is a failure. I'm going to be. I know people are like, oh, you're an AEW, all that stuff, bro. Say all that stuff you want. Say all of the hullabaloo, hoopla, hootenanny, all that shit that you want to talk it. But I'm going to keep it so real with you. This Jon Moxley title reign has been a failure. I think AEW needs to retcon it. I think they need to change. It's just not going to sell. You're not going to sell 3,000 more tickets with that as the main event right now. You're not going to do that. It's just not going to happen. Shout out to Just Brian in the chat saying AEW blows, Jon Moxley blows. Hey, man, it don't blow harder right now than the way Cody Rhodes' title reign's going. That man's in the toilet. One of the most forgettable title reigns of all time. Let's talk about it. And we will talk about it maybe at some point. But shout out to Just Brian. He's got a stream at 9 p.m. Go check that out. I might pop in for a little bit over there, talk some WWE 2K. If you guys are big fans of WWE 2K, I think there's some cool stuff going on over there. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Brian, feel free to put in the chat whatever's going on over there. And shout out to Brian, man. He's been cooking, and he is, he's not even up and coming at this point. He's here. That brother is here, and he's ready to take over the scene. Shout out to Just Brian. His wrestling takes are absolute dog shit, but the bro knows video games. Anyway, we got Ryan Davis in the chat saying, I don't see Darby as the guy to beat Mox. It should be either Ospreay or Swerve. Yeah, I think it should. I mean, no, I think Swerve, it should be Swerve. Let me be clear. It 100% should be Swerve. 1,000%, 1,000,000%, 1 trillion, Google. Go Google that. That's what Google is, like a large ass number. It should be Swerve. Swerve should win in Philadelphia at Dynasty, if not sooner. We got Michelle saying, Omer, I asked you about AEW marketing. Their talent before I get is a 6-year-old company, but when is it time to judge AEW and you can say you've had enough time to build a strategy? Yeah, no, their marketing strategy is bad. I say that as someone who has a significant amount of experience in marketing. Yeah, it's not good. Even for a 6-year company, it's not good. And I understand that there's going to be startup woes, but one of the big things that the company got right early on was their marketing. I just don't think they've advanced their marketing since, honestly, probably 2020. Yeah, they haven't advanced their marketing since then. And that's not an indictment on the PR team or anything like that. It's just what it is. Sarah Berger says, do you see Jay White as a possible guy to beat Mox? No. You know, I think Jay White is a very interesting case of just a wrestler. I think as good as he is, as great as he is, I think Jay White is an immense talent. I think that in the ring, you know, like there's not many people that can keep up with him. I also believe that the way he cuts promos may not be as we're used to in like North America, but he has a very compelling promo style for me. I also do acknowledge the fact that Jay White has not clicked in AEW. And that's like another thing that we got to talk about. By the way, smash that thumbs up button if you're in the chat. But the reason I say this is not to say, oh, Jay White made a mistake by coming to AEW. Like, it was the only move he could have made, right? Because at the end of the day, when Jay White was negotiating in 2023, it was the lead up to WrestleMania, when he was negotiating with both WWE and AEW, according to multiple sources. And again, we don't know exactly what happened, but WWE essentially ghosted him. And if you are a free agent at the height that Jay White was at that point, and if you are looking at the scene right now and where everything is, man, you're taking the money. You're taking the offer that you got. You're not going to wait around to see if WWE, who, by the way, we're in the midst apparently selling the company, you're not going to wait around and see what happens, right? You are going to take care of yourself. You're going to get that bag. It's the first big contract Jay White's gotten in North America. Go get that bag. Despite that, I don't think things have gone as well as they should have in AEW. I think part of it has been the bloated roster. Like, let's be honest. Like, that roster is insanely bloated. I think that there was an avenue and there was a point in time where I thought, okay, if they end up doing a brand split, this is in the early days of Collision, when there was like a soft brand split between AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision. I thought that there was an opportunity for them to really highlight multiple talent across these two shows. You had the AEW World Champion MJF on one show, and you had like the real World Champion CM Punk on the other. Maybe that turns into a bit of your secondary belt. We'll never know what the end goal was there. I mean, you can assume that it was some sort of match with MJF and CM Punk, but at the end of the day, Punk left, and the rest is history. But I thought there was a window there for Jay White to potentially like be the guy there. I thought that there was potential for Jay White, especially the way he was going. Like, they were building him up slowly but surely. He had one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen against FTR on Collision. It was that insane, I believe it was a 2 out of 3 falls match on Collision. I think I watched it live here and I was like, oh my God. I was geeking out. But then he does the program with Max. And again, I think it was a fine match. Was it a main event of a pay-per-view, and was the angle a little bit too much, and did it drag? Yeah. It's not, it was, I think that stain is still there. I think that vibe is still there. I just don't believe that right now he's positioned as an important character. Because right now he's a lackey. He went from having his own heaters, he went from having his own guy, and it's not even like he's on equal playing field. Like, he's out there with Adam Copeland. All right? He's out there with Edge. He's out there with fucking Edge. Like, he's not, it's not an equal playing field with them right now, right? And especially the way AEW's presented him. It's just not equal. Like, bro has been reduced to being someone else's lackey when he had an army behind him. He had the Guns, former AEW World Tag Team Champions. He had rock hard Juice Robinson, who, by the way, is still injured. Shout out to Juice. But, it's one of those things where if you're presented as a weaker character, then I think you're going to be hit with that stain. And there just seems to be reason after reason after reason after reason to kind of, for lack of a better term, shit on Jay White as a character and the way he's presented. And I think some of that is warranted. I don't think he's presented as an important character. I don't think he's presented as someone you need to necessarily care about week to week. I think he's just kind of there. And it's one thing to have a stacked roster. It's one thing to have an insane roster. It's one thing to have all these talent in the palm of your hands. Shout out Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. You got to know what to do with them. And if you don't, maybe you don't have to have all these talent. Because when AEW was at its best, it was a focused, character-driven television show. They have gotten back to a lot of what I love about AEW, what I love about professional wrestling. That is tuning in week to week and knowing that character A and character B are both going to advance along with each other week to week to week, and I can't wait to see what happens. They've been doing so much of that. It feels like it is the best wrestling. Dynamite is the best wrestling show on TV right now. Despite that, doesn't mean that Jay White is free of criticism, or the character, the way it's been presented, is free of criticism. I just don't think that. Reality Era in the chat says Jay White post-return has been fire. He's more over and has more direction than he ever did in the beginning. I don't believe that. I think he was more over in 2023 when he first came in. I think he had better character direction in the latter part of 2023 when he and Juice Robinson were going after the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Gun Club, the Bullet Club Gold was over as all hell. Like right now, Jay White is a lackey to Adam Copeland. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you guys want to establish this man as a world championship level contender. He main evented he main evented Madison Square Garden. Talk about it. Present him as a bigger star than you're doing so. Because right now, I think just going through the motions. And it's unfortunate. And I think Jay White's going to be good. As far as will he go to WWE, right? That's the big question everyone wants to ask, everyone wants answered. I don't know. I think there's a good chance that might happen one day. I think you're going to see a lot of people in AEW go to WWE, and you're going to see a lot of WWE people eventually go to AEW. We talk about, this thing is going to be a cyclical thing, right? In the beginning, you saw a lot of more people over time gravitate to AEW as far as stars go because AEW was offering, new opportunities, fresh matchups, a fresh perspective, something that WWE just was not. But over time as AEW has gotten more and more talent, some got lost in the shuffle. It's been a couple of years. Contracts are coming up and people are going to WWE now because WWE is a hot company. WWE is offering a new perspective. WWE is changing things up. Now, how long will that last? We don't know. Triple H has already shown a lot of signs that his booking is not up to par of where it once was. In fact, it has regressed to quite an alarming point. So eventually you're going to see the pendulum, as far as talent go, swing back around. We got Abdu in the chat said, IDK, man, I don't feel like they gave up on... I never said they gave up on Jay White. I just don't think he's presented as important as he once was. Wall Street Money says, what if Copeland beats Moxley on Dynamite next week? Then, hey, man. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. Just get the belt off of Mox. Get the belt off of Mox, man. I wouldn't hate it. Swerve versus Cope at the pay-per-view. Sign me up, baby. What's up, Taco Kid? I see you in the chat. I can't pull it up because we're having some technical issues, but shout out Taco Kid in the chat. Taco Kid says, what if that MJF match cooked Jay White? I also think he should have had a title reign. They gave Samoa Joe. He could have, but I also think they kind of trusted Joe a little bit more, being that veteran voice, that veteran presence. I think they trusted him a little bit more in that role than they did, honestly, anyone else. Just like I trust you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Guys, be sure you smash that thumbs up. It only takes one click, and it really, really helps out more than you'll ever know. Ryan Davis says, it's good to see guys go back and forth between companies. It means the business is healthy. Absolutely. And you will see the guys in WWE go back and forth. It 100p, as the kids like to say. It will happen. We also got a little bit of news that I think we got to talk about. Ryan Nemeth. Oh, Jesus Christ. We're not talking about Ryan Nemeth. Don't worry, chat. We're not going to talk about Ryan Nemeth right now. I already covered the Ryan Nemeth lawsuit, and that was a hell of a video. Go check it out in the archives. But we're actually going to talk about some Jade Cargill updates because we got a pretty major update on the backstage situation with Jade Cargill. He's going to pull it up in a second. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, though, if you haven't already. All right, let's take a look at this because I really am interested to talk about this whole thing. So Jade Cargill was in some hot water backstage in WWE, and it looks like things are not getting better. We got a little bit more insight courtesy of Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. This is an aggregation from Wrestle Purist. Let's take a look and see what it says here. This is, again, courtesy of Wrestling Observer newsletter. The heat on Jade Cargill was the claim by other women in WWE that when there was problems in the ring, she blamed the other person and was disrespectful. This kind of goes along with something we've heard about Jade Cargill in previous reports, both in Fightful and Wrestling Observer. Goes on to say, a specific confrontation was Cargill pointing to a bruise on her arm and her telling Shayna Baszler that she needed to learn how to work. And Baszler responded saying if she was shooting, they would both know. Later, when Cargill blamed others for problems in matches, Baszler came up to her and confronted her. This was not a one-person deal, but Baszler did go to talk to her about it, which didn't make it better. Cargill got in Baszler's face, according to one person right there, and said Baszler clearly wasn't going to back down. Ends the quote by saying, other talent saw it and diffused it alongside management. It got them away from each other. Baszler was called to work with the production people on key spots they were doing in her television match that night. Nothing else happened of significance after that. This is coming off the heels of a couple of other reports, again, that I mentioned. And, like, I see y'all in the chat talking about Dave Meltzer. Shout out Uncle Dave. But, like, this is, like, consistent with some of the other reports that are, again, outside of Wrestling Observer, that Fightful Selective reported on as well, that things don't necessarily seem to be as hunky-dory in Jade Cargill and WWE as people once thought. The reality is, like, I mean, these things happen in every locker room, whether people want to admit it or not. AEW, a lot of stuff happens backstage there. WWE, a lot of stuff happens backstage there. You just don't hear about it as much. That's why people kind of get shocked and are a little bit dismissive of these reports when the reality is this stuff is pretty consistent with what we're hearing. Now, with Jade and, like, Shayna, again, we're not backstage. We don't know. But the thing that is still blowing my mind, I should say, is Shayna Baszler is legitimately like an MMA fighter. And I understand if in the heat of the moment, you know, hey, man, like, stuff happens. You might be a little bit angry. You might be like, I got hurt in this match and I shouldn't have. And why didn't you take care of me? Blah, blah, blah. Stuff happens. Totally understand that. But, hey, man, you gotta be careful with Shayna Baszler, because I mean, Jade Cargill is strong as all hell. She's tall. She's all that. I feel like Shayna Baszler would still tie her knots, to be honest with you. I'm just like, maybe Shayna's not the person you mess with here. I just don't look again. There are things we've heard. These, like, reports also of, like, backstage, you know, disorder, politicking, whatever we want to call it, have gone back a couple of months. Even when Jade Cargill was first off of TV, we kind of heard about this. And the question was, okay, what is this? Like, now we kind of know about this situation with, you know, with Baszler and Cargill. But the reality is, guys, that stuff happens backstage. It's only a problem if it continues to be so. We know how quickly, like, media firestorms around this kind of stuff can happen and how quickly things can take a life of their own. And I think the worry for WWE, and one of the things they're really good at, is getting a lid on things before it really gets out of control, especially with Chris Legento, who is the director of, or I believe the president of communications in WWE right now. He's like one of the most ruthless and aggressive PR people there is. I'm not saying that in a good or bad way, but he's really good at his job, which is ensuring that all of this stuff does not get out, ensuring that if it does get out, you minimize the damage. And I think that with Jade specifically, given how big of a star she is, given how much in WWE has invested in her and her positioning in the company, I don't see a future where Jade Cargill, and they allow the story, of Jade Cargill to get out of control. I see, in fact, a future where they try to kibosh this and they try to be like, all right, look, Shayna, Jade, let's get in a room, figure this out. Or Shayna, Jade, let's not get in a room. Let's not figure it out. Let's stay away from each other. And I think, like, you know, at the end of the day, they do not want there to seem like there is dissension in the locker room. They do not want there to seem like there's, you know, that level of animosity in the locker room, like in a negative way, because I think they've seen what happened in AEW. and the way that all those stories took on a life of their own, and how, like, look at the Punk thing, right? The Punk thing was, it started off as rumors, right? Like everyone in that situation kind of worked themselves into a shoot, more or less, because there was the allegation that the Young Bucks and Hangman Page or whoever were leaking stuff to like Meltzer and Alvarez, and that wasn't happening. And then, like, obviously Punk did the thing at All Out 2022, and one thing led to another, and before you know it, AEW not only had to fire one of their biggest stars, but they have been recovering from a perception standpoint. They've been recovering ever since. And I'm not saying that even like, I think hypothetically, Jade Cargill and Shayna Baszler could get into like one of the biggest backstage brawls of all time, and I don't think WWE is going to be, hurting too much financially. But it's not just that. It's like, what else is going on? The other lawsuits going on. It's like a pile-on effect that can happen very easily, and people can lose interest, and people can lose the energy and the momentum that they built up. So all of that to say, it's something to keep an eye on. I don't predict, that there are going to be any future things that come out about this. And if they do, I think they're going to be very different stories, because usually I think the companies usually have a good way of disseminating the information that they want out there. And again, WWE is one of the best as far as PR goes, and you guys are one of the best at being a chat. So be sure to smash that thumbs up. Use your little thumbs and smash that thumbs up. What is that? I got like a little thing there. It's like a mark. I got a marker. That's why, guys. Anyway, we having fun here. Oh man. All right, we're gonna sit down now because we tired of standing up. Okay. There we go. Back to my roots. All right, what else we got going on in the chat? Oh, God, Wall Street Money. I'll start Nick. Oh, man, I can't believe I was in the arena for that. It's Doggo Kid says, if they can't manage Seth and Punk, they will manage Shayna and Jade. Nothing else will happen. I tend to agree. I tend to agree. I mean, they're managing Drew McIntyre right now, and Drew McIntyre has not always been the happiest cat in the cage, as one would say. Ryan Davis says, damn, Tony Khan, such a mark. He needs to keep Jade Cargill and Shayna Baszler in check. This was where? Oh, no. Not AEW. Oh, okay. You got Eric Douglas saying, okay, so I was thinking for a long time, Darby All In has to be the move. However, thinking it over, I have one more massive moment for him. Swerve All In. Darby beats him at Wrestle Dream in his hometown. I could see that. That could be a big. That would be a big match. Darby eventually getting the win at Wrestle Dream. I know Taco Kid would be happy about that. Taco Kid would be able to go witness that. I could see it. I just don't see Darby though. I mean, again, he's not on TV. He's obviously climbing Mount Everest. I wish him the best there right now, because that is no small feat, obviously, but. I wish him the best right now doing that. 5-star Supreme Leader says, they handle by removing. Taco Kid says, WWE is good with handling backstage stuff, like backstage incident. Last backstage incident I can remember got someone fired is Drew Gulak last year. I mean, there have been a couple of backstage incidents in WWE, some that are more publicly known than others. But, Drew's had a couple where he's like stormed out backstage, he's yelled at someone. Like, it has happened to varying degrees. Taco Kid says, Wrestle Dream coming back to Washington again this year. I think, one thing that's true about Tony is Tony likes to run the same markets for a lot of these shows. He likes to run Washington, Tacoma, Seattle for Wrestle Dream. He likes to run Chicago for All In, or All Out, excuse me. I don't see Chicago for All Out changing anytime soon. Vegas for Double or Nothing was basically a ritual until this year. But I think that might change. But I think I might change. Reality Era says, Omer, are you going to Philly? I think Dynasty is going to be a banker. The plan right now is to go to Philly for Dynasty. So I should be there. I should be at Dynasty. It's just going to depend on a couple of different things. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably end up taking the trip up there. I really wish I could. I'm going to figure out this chat thing because I feel like it feels wrong not being able to pull up your chats like and put them right here. It feels wrong, honestly. We got Michal in the chat saying, give your thoughts on Dave Meltzer's comments about WWE ID. I don't know what you're referring to, but I guess let's look it up. WWE ID. Let's see. Meltzer? Spell that right. All right, what did big old Davey Meltzer say about this? Okay, I think I have it right here. With WWE ID talent, the deal, according to a contract, is that Gabe Sapolsky puts their matches together and gives the script to the promoter who's booked them. The promoter pays the talent and can push that talent comes from WWE. WWE covers the travel costs with a stipend, and the promoter pays the difference if the travel costs are larger than the stipend. Okay. I mean, if WWE does that, that's, I think, a good thing. I think if you're gonna sign people to a contract, you should at least provide something. Gabe Sapolsky putting their matches together is an interesting point. That's an interesting point because, so does that mean WWE is basically like booking these talent? I think that's what it's saying, right? WWE basically books these talent. That's interesting. I mean, is this the thing? That's crazy. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the Rey Fenix trailer, teaser? Excuse me. How would you book him in WWE? I would book him as it looks like they're going to book him as a single star and eventually build up to that reunion with Penta. But I think it looks like they are building him up as a single star in the beginning because him and Penta are on different rosters. Reality Era reminds everyone that if you are going to Wrestle Dream, if you're going to Dynasty, whatever you're going to, best way to get your tickets, guys. You're going to Wrestle. You know what? Let's do a little ad read here. It's been a while since we've done this. It's just been sitting in the corner. Let's do it up, guys. If you guys are going to any professional wrestling show, whether it's WrestleMania, AEW Dynasty, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, or that damn Lucha Libre show that is not selling no damn tickets, you guys know where to go. You guys can sign up with SeatGeek using the promo code, the link, whatever. Use that link in the description below is what I'm trying to say. You click on that. You use the promo code REALTAKE at checkout. It's right over here. There it is. REALTAKE at checkout. And you get $20 off your first purchase. Yes, that's right. $20 off your first purchase. All you got to do is click the link in the description below. Get whatever ticket you're going. Hell, if you're going to a spring training game for your favorite baseball team, you're going to an NBA game, it don't matter. Wrestling, sports, it's all comes together. YouTube.com/Real Take Wrestling. All you got to do, click the link in the description below. Get $20 just like that in your wallet. More money for you to spend at concessions. More money in your wallet. So go click the link in the description. Get your ticket and use the promo code REALTAKE at checkout to save $20. That was nice. Need to get that out. Taco Kid said, what are your thoughts? It's fake news. A WWE ID talent called him out on it. Really? I mean, hey, man. Look, when Dave's right, he's right. When he's not, he's not. That's kind of how it goes, isn't it? Potential Malachi Black teaser was shown too. Yeah, Malachi's problem. Yeah. Yes. WWE signing Jeff Cobb could be why AEW didn't reunite United Empire. Makes sense. I mean, no, I think they had plans for United Empire outside of Jeff Cobb. I think that's really what it boils down to. And at the end of the day, like, I'm sure they wanted Jeff Cobb, but it seemed like WWE just wanted him way more. So yeah, that's kind of where that is. Anyway, guys, I'm about to head off into the sunset for tonight. I've got some other content I want to make for both this channel and youtube.com/WrestleVibes, which, by the way, guys, let me just take you guys on this journey with me real quick, because we got so much content. I got so much content coming your way. I got so many projects, so many different things I'm working on. One of them, though, is WrestleVibes, which many of you would love. We're up to 2.9 thousand subs there, and just about to hit that 3,000 mark. So if you haven't already, go to youtube.com/WrestleVibes and subscribe. You won't regret it. All my docu-style content, all of the docu-style content, video essays you could ever want about professional wrestling, all in one place. I cover everything. It's all there. WWE, AEW. We even got some TNA stuff here as well. It's fantastic. It's great. You're going to have a blast. I believe in Joe Hendry, and I also believe in youtube.com/WrestleVibes. So go check that out if you haven't already done so. Rip the AEW chandelier. Damn right. Rip it. Rip it, rip it, rip it. That's what Tony Khan did to it. Also, soft launching this, I guess, here, but I might as well just let you guys in on the secret that nobody else, well, that everyone knows at this point. But going to, yeah, you know what? We'll launch this up a little bit. I'll hype this up to the extent that I can. I am relaunching another one of my channels. You guys can go subscribe to it at OMERQ Show. As you can see right here, I make dope videos about movies, TV, culture, and other based shit. My views are entirely my own. I gotta say that. But it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be looking more at, like, a lot of culture, a lot of television, movies, and kind of how it intersects with real life and things that are actually happening in the world. So go check that out. Real Take Sports is also ramping up. So much ramping up, man. Everything's ramping up. We got Ryan Davis saying, Omer, love your channel. It's unbiased, unlike 95% of the wrestling podcast. I try to be. I mean, look, we're all biased at the end of the day. We like what we like. But at the end of the day, one thing that's not biased is the business end of it, right? But the business end it's there for all to see. If you want to look at the business, if you want to look at, like, what success looks like, what real success looks like, you look at ticket sales, you look at the business, you look at the way fans are feeling, and I think wrestling is in a very, very healthy place right now. Sarah in the chat rounds us out by saying, I don't think WWE signing Jeff Cobb would stop AEW from reuniting United Empire. I believe that. 2021 AEW stage set, insert Vince McMahon meme. Paul! All right, guys. I love every single one of you. I'm very appreciative of all of your support, and I'm not gonna lie. I think over the next couple of months, I'm very excited about some of the things that are going to be coming and some of the things that I'm going to be working on, and how much more invested I'm going to be in this channel than I think ever before, and other channels as well. So I really do hope that, whether you like sports, whether you like culture, news, wrestling, whatever, you'll join me across that journey, because gonna need your support, but I also would love for you guys to just take a look along the way. Anyway, Wall Street Money actually rounds us out by saying, take care, bro. Thanks for letting me borrow your Porsche. Okay. All right, Wall Street Money. By the way, guys, go check out Just Brian's stream. That's going to be live very soon. I put the link for that in the chat, so go check that out. If you're leaving here, go click on that link right now and go over there. What are you even doing here still? Might be popping in on there, so go check that out. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.